you want to just go through the chords just once and then I'll start?
Sure. So the verse, A minor. C. G. A minor. And the chorus starts on C.
Day 3. Today we returned to the carriage road for most of our ride. We took the short ride from Bar Harbor, about 4 miles, to the entrance of the car-free carriage road. Turning east, we crossed over Eagle Lake Bridge, built in 1928, and headed south along the eastern side of Eagle Lake. A few of us made an unscheduled stop to take in the view of the beautiful still lake and the sweetgrass growing naturally along its shore. Native American peoples have lived in Maine for thousands of years. The Wabanaki people represent 4 separate tribes: the Maliseet, Micmac, Passamaquoddy, and Penobscot. Using sturdy, seaworthy birch bark canoes, they regularly traveled to Pemic, or Mount Desert Island. On the island, they would fish, hunt, pick berries, harvest clams, gather, and stimulate sweetgrass. A valuable commodity, sweetgrass could be woven into baskets and pottery. It served as medicine, was used in ceremonies, prayer, and holds the sweet essence of vanilla, salt, evergreen, and earth. Soame Sound was one of the favorite camping areas of the Wabanaki Confederacy. Here, the tribes would meet to conduct trade and socialize with other tribes. Blue skies and blue water were the order of the day as we pedaled down the carriage road, past Eagle Lake, and on to Bubble Pond. Continuing south on the carriage road, we reached the southern end of Jordan Pond, where we made a pit stop. In true tourist fashion, we made another run at the gift shop. Others took a quick walk around the grounds and soaked up the natural beauty of the pond and the surrounding mountains. It's easy to understand the indigenous people's deep attraction and pride in this land. Frenchman Samuel de Champlain contributed the first historical record of the area. His expedition landed on September 5, 1604, and in his journal named it Isles des Monts Deserts. French Jesuit missionaries arrived in 1613. They were welcomed by the gracious and hospitable Wabanaki people. Many of the Wabanaki were baptized. The French missionaries began building a fort and planting crops. Before the fort was completed, an English ship captain, Samuel Argall, led an attack and destroyed the fort, reducing French influence in the area. Mount Desert Island became sandwiched between the French to the north and the British in the south. As we exited the Jordan Pond house and headed back to the carriage road, we encountered another horse-drawn carriage. Of course, we took time to give the horse some well-deserved pats before remounting and heading south towards Northeast Harbor, where we stopped for a lunch break. Several of the group bought to-go box lunches from a local shop and took off for Soame Sound. Soame Sound was a favorite meeting place of Chief Astico, one of the Wabanaki leaders. He used the locale for all kinds of gatherings. It became a prominent post for trading with other tribes, trappers, and political negotiations. Contact with the Europeans brought disease. Between 1616 and 1619, and again from 1632 to 1634, sickness spread through the Wabanaki tribes. An estimated 90% of the Native American population perished. Some call it a Holocaust, others refer to it as colonial genocide. With the indigenous population diminished, French and British contested rights to the land. Mount Desert island became little more than a navigational landmark for seamen. From Northeast Harbor, we rode to a small park on the shore of Somes Sound. Walking through the park to the shore, we infiltrated a group of artists, drawing and painting seascapes from the perspective of the shore. Today's artists reflected the community that grew in the early to mid-1800s. Acadia's natural beauty and calm surroundings attracted creative people of all sorts. They found low-cost accommodations with local fishermen and farmers. Known as rusticators, their numbers increased, and so did housing demands. By the 1880s, 30 hotels housed a growing tourism industry. Attracted by the rustic beauty, affluent families found their way to the island. It became a summer retreat from the big cities and the pressures of monopolizing industries. After lunch, our leader Keith guided us back to Northeast Harbor, where we rejoined our group for the ride back to Bar Harbor. At the Brown Mountain Gatehouse, we left car traffic behind and took to the appreciated quiet solitude of the carriage road. Pedaling past Bubble Pond, we headed north on the west side of Eagle Lake and found our way back to the Bar Harbor Inn. For some, the day wasn't over yet. Most of the Oregon contingent had signed up for a sunset kayak paddle into Bar Harbor Bay. Tommy and I opted out. Instead, we served as official photographers of the kayak launching. Then we leisurely walked back to the inn. First, Tommy and I shared some time and drinks on the stoop of our rooms. Maybe a couple of drinks. Then we walked to the local pizza parlor, where we were to secure and hold a table for dinner and wait for the returning kayakers. We agreed skipping the kayaking had been the right decision. I don't know about Tommy, but even though my butt still hurt from days of bike riding, at least tonight my back didn't ache. We got to the restaurant early enough to accomplish our assigned task. We saved a table big enough to seat the entire Oregon contingent. Most importantly, the beer was cold and the pizza was delicious. After dinner, the whole group strolled back to the inn, a pleasant way to end the day, surrounded by the quaint town of Bar Harbor and good friends.